In 1521, Spanish soldiers destroyed one of the biggest cities on Earth, Tenochtitlan, the heart of the Aztec Empire. But this story doesn't start in Mexico. It starts 200 years earlier, on the other side of the world, with one man walking across a desert, carrying so much gold that he broke an entire country's economy by accident. This is how one pilgrimage toppled an empire he never knew existed. 1324, West Africa. The Empire of Mali stretched further than all of Western Europe, and its ruler, Mansa Musa, sat on the richest gold fields on Earth. That year, Musa set out on a religious journey, the pilgrimage to Mecca. But he didn't travel light. Writers at the time said tens of thousands of people marched with him, and somewhere between 80 and 100 camels, each one loaded down with pure gold, an entire empire's fortune, walking across the Sahara, and its first big stop was Cairo. Cairo was one of the biggest, richest cities in the world. It had seen wealthy visitors before. It had never seen anything like this. Musa gave gold to officials, gold to holy men, gold to ordinary people in the street. One writer said he left no royal official without a gift of gold. He spent so much and gave away so much that something strange happened. Gold stopped being special. The price of gold in Cairo dropped. And according to writers at the time, it stayed down for over a decade. One man, one visit, a dent in a superpower's economy. Musa went home, but the stories about him didn't stay home. Cairo's markets were full of traders from Venice, Genoa, Barcelona, men who lived and died by information, and now they had the best story ever. Somewhere beyond the Sahara, there's a king so rich he crashed the price of gold by giving it away. The story sailed home with them, and in Europe, a place chronically short of gold, it landed like a spark on dry grass. 50 years later, someone drew it. Around 1375, a mapmaker on the island of Majorca, a man named Abraham Cresques, created the most famous map of the Middle Ages, the Catalan Atlas. And right there, in the middle of West Africa, he painted a black king on a golden throne, crown on his head, a huge nugget of gold in his hand. The caption read, "This is the richest and noblest king in all these lands." It was Mansa Musa. He'd been dead for almost 40 years. It didn't matter. The map made him immortal. Now every prince in Europe could point at the exact place where the gold lived. And here's the thing. Europe was going broke. Its silver mines were running dry. Coins were being clipped and cheapened. Historians call it the bullion famine, an entire continent literally running out of money. Yet most of the gold Europe did have came from West Africa, carried across the desert by camel, marked up at every stop by middlemen. So that map wasn't decoration, it was a target. The problem was simple. How do you get there? Portugal had an answer. Skip the desert, take the sea. In 1415, Portuguese forces grabbed the city of Ceuta in North Africa, one end of the gold caravan routes. They found gold there. They also learned it came from much, much further south. So under Prince Henry, Portuguese captains started crawling down Africa's Atlantic coast, year after year, voyage after voyage, past capes that sailors swore couldn't be passed. By the 1440s, they were trading for gold dust on the rivers of West Africa. By 1471, they found the coast where the gold came out of the ground. They named it after what they found, the coast of the mine. In 1482, Portugal built a fortress there, Elmina, the mine. It was the first European building south of the Sahara, and it did exactly what the Catalan Atlas had promised. Gold, straight from the source, no middlemen. The gold fields Mansa Musa's empire once controlled were now filling Portuguese ships. Lisbon got rich, and its neighbor, Spain, watched, furious, because Spain had just been legally banned from that entire coast. A few years earlier, Spain and Portugal had fought a war. Spanish ships had even raided the Gold Coast and come home loaded with African gold. Portugal crushed them at sea. The peace treaty, signed in 1479, drew the first colonial line on the world map. Portugal got Guinea, the gold trade, Madeira, the Azores, and the entire sea route south along Africa. Spain got the Canary Islands. That's it. The richest road in the world, closed to Spain forever. Which meant when a stubborn sailor from Genoa showed up with a crazy idea, only one country had a reason to listen. His name was Christopher Columbus. He'd sailed on Portuguese ships, including to Elmina itself. He'd seen the gold trade with his own eyes. His pitch? Forget going around Africa. Sail west straight across the open ocean to the riches of Asia. Portugal said no. Their experts thought his math was way off. It was. And why gamble? They already owned the African route. But Spain had no route at all. In 1492, fresh from conquering Granada, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand decided a long shot was better than nothing. Columbus sailed west. In October, he hit land, and his diary from those first weeks keeps coming back to one word, over and over: gold. What followed in the Caribbean was ugly. On the islands of Hispaniola and Cuba, the Spanish forced the native Taíno people to wash gold out of the rivers. Within 20 years, the easy gold was gone, and the Taíno were dying in catastrophic numbers. From violence, from hunger, and from European diseases they'd never met before. So the colonists looked west. In 1517 and 1518, scouting ships touched Mexico and came back with gold objects and stories. Stories about a rich empire, somewhere inland, for men raised on tales of golden kings. That was all it took. The governor of Cuba put together a third expedition. To lead it, he picked an ambitious 34-year-old named Hernán Cortés. Then he changed his mind. He didn't trust him. He ordered Cortés to stand down. Too late. In February 1519, Cortés sailed anyway. 11 ships, about 500 men, 16 horses. This wasn't a royal army. It was a gold hunting expedition gone rogue, and it was headed straight for the Aztec Empire. The Aztec Empire was no lost tribe. It was a superpower, millions of people, professional armies, and a capital, Tenochtitlan, built on a lake bigger than almost any city in Europe. Its ruler was Montezuma II. Cortés had two weapons that mattered more than guns. The first was a translator, a Nahua woman called Malintzin, handed to the Spanish as a slave. Every negotiation of the conquest ran through her. The second was politics. The Aztecs had enemies, lots of them. The empire ran on tribute squeezed out of conquered peoples, and one fierce nation, Tlaxcala, had never been conquered at all. First, the Tlaxcalans fought Cortés. Then they made a choice that changed history. They joined him. Tens of thousands of native warriors marched on Tenochtitlan alongside 500 Spaniards. In November 1519, Montezuma welcomed Cortés into his capital. Within days, the Spaniards took him prisoner in his own palace. For months, Cortés ruled through his royal hostage. Then it all collapsed. While Cortés was away at the coast, his deputy panicked during a religious festival and ordered his men to attack the celebrating Aztec nobles. Unarmed people cut down in the temple courtyard. The city exploded. Montezuma died in the chaos. Spanish accounts say his own people stoned him. Aztec accounts point at the Spaniards. 500 years later, we still don't know. On the last night of June, 1520, the Spanish tried to sneak out of the city in the dark. The Aztecs caught them on the causeway. Hundreds died. Some soldiers drowned in the lake, dragged down by the gold stuffed in their armor. The gold they'd crossed an ocean for, pulling them under. The survivors called it the Night of Sorrows. The Aztecs had won. The invasion was over. Except the deadliest invader was already inside the walls. Smallpox. It had arrived with a Spanish expedition. a disease the Americas had never seen. No immunity, no defense. Through late 1520, it tore through the Valley of Mexico. It killed farmers, warriors, nobles, even the new emperor, Montezuma's successor, dead within months of taking power. Aztec accounts describe whole families gone with no one left to bury them, and while the city suffered, Cortés rebuilt, tens of thousands of allied warriors, and 13 small warships, built in pieces, carried over the mountains on men's backs, and launched on the lake. In May 1521, they cut the city off. No food, no fresh water. Then they ground it down street by street. The Aztecs held out for 3 months, starving, sick. They never surrendered. Their last emperor, Cuauhtémoc, was captured trying to escape across the water. August 13, 1521, Tenochtitlan, one of the great cities of the world, was rubble. The Aztec Empire was gone. Step back, and the chain is almost unbelievable. A king walks to Mecca and gives away too much gold. The story gets drawn onto a map. A gold-starved Europe stares at that map for a century. Portugal sails south to find the source and locks Spain out. So Spain bets on a sailor heading west. He finds islands. The islands run dry, and the hunt moves inland. And in 1521, an empire Mansa Musa never knew existed died at the end of a road he started. Nobody planned it, nobody could have. History doesn't move in straight lines. It moves like dominoes. Think you know 2 events that are secretly connected? Drop them below. Most liked comment gets the next video. And if this gave you a new way of seeing history, hit like and subscribe. There are a lot more dominoes to trace.